Hi, I'm Denver Shai and welcome to the Shai Creative. This video is for you if you are doing your fine art degree. Whether you are in your first, second, your third year, it really doesn't matter. I would say any year, because ultimately you are going to be doing your fine art degree show. I do have my notes here because I tell you what, there's a lot to cover and I really don't want to miss anything out. So let's just get into it. I have just finished my degree show. Actually, we did that in May and I am telling you, I am still recovering. It is a lot of work, but it is absolutely worth it. But just be warned, it's a lot of work. One of the things that you should have, I mean, all universities are different, but you should get a printout of like your deadlines. There's a timeline for when things need to be done. So the show, for example, is happening on the 1st of May. Your fine art department will have a lot to do to bring you to that date. You can't push the date forward. If your work is not ready, if it's not prepped, the show goes without you. Make sure you are prepared and prepped. Meet your deadlines. It's really, really important. Space preparation. You will be allocated, or we were allocated a space that was for our show. So each student had a space that was theirs. Once that space is set up, which you may have to help do, and we helped to completely change the life drawing studio, turn it into a art show. It was amazing. The transformation was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. All my fellow students who were in my year were all there and we just got on with it. It was brilliant. So if you have a really good team that is with you, you are going to enjoy this process and actually you will remember it. When you are allocated your space, you will need to prepare it. It's not going to be prepped for you. If you're at a university where they do the whole lot for you, all you got to do is show up. Well, I'm very happy for you. However, I do think you would miss out on a really important element of really rolling your sleeves up and getting in there, knowing that what you're putting together is for you because you've done all this work, you've been working towards this moment. Rolling up your sleeves and just getting your hands dirty. I mean, it really is a lot of fun. It's tiring, but it's fun. And that space is yours. When it comes to preparing it, just get your scruffs on. Nobody's going to care. You're also busy getting on with tidying your space, scraping off, old paint from the previous year. One of my boards had a hole in it. This hole that I had to make it invisible. How I managed it, well, that's my little secret, but it worked. When you have finished preparing that space, so you'll be taking off old, what do you call those things? Staples. You will be pulling out staples, you'll be scraping off old paint. You may find a previous student's work has been painted on the board. You've got to clean that off so that it is clear and smooth. You'll more likely paint over it with plain white paint or whatever you want your surface to look like. I would definitely get some advice on the color. If you say, I want my surface to be black because of whatever it is you're doing, it's really a good idea actually just to speak to the person that's helping to oversee this work so that you know where you are and converse with your tutors. They should be there to help you. Preparation truly is everything. You really don't want when somebody's standing there looking at your work and they're doing that. You want them looking at your work, not the tatty bit of painting that's been done, or are those staples still in that board? You want that area to be immaculate so that your work shines. Do not do a half job. You are gonna so be sorry because people will be taking photos of that. They're taking photos of your work, but they're not gonna see that. They're just gonna see this tatty space and know that the student couldn't be bothered. Why should someone care about your work if you don't? Why should they care to even give it their attention? Because time is precious if you can't be bothered. Put that effort in. It will be worth it and you're just gonna love it. One of the things that I did that I found really helpful was I actually planned out my space. I went into Serif Affinity. I got the exact pictures that I'd already curated to put into the space. I got the dimensions, everything. It may seem like, well, that's a lot of effort, but actually it was just worth it. And the funny thing was, quite a few of my fellow students had done that as well. And it just helped. It made a huge difference, because you might look at it and think, oh, actually, that really didn't work. That doesn't quite look right. And if you do it in your software, it just gives you a chance to jig things around, and then you've got a better perspective. Now, curate your work. The funny thing is about this is everybody has a different opinion about what goes where, what goes with what. So there were some disagreements about what I put with my work. However, when I actually put it up, I followed my own damned instincts, and it paid off. I'm pleased. I am so, oh my God, I am so proud of what I put up. I'm so pleased. And it was a lot of work. It was effort, but I flipping loved it. And the funny thing was, despite some of the aggravation I had running up to that moment, when the day came, because there were some pictures I had put in, and then when I stepped back, when I did my little plan and I stepped back, had a look, I thought, no, let me make a change. And I made a couple of changes. And then in the end, I was like, this has to be it. You could keep swapping till kingdom come, and it will still not be right. You will still think, oh my God, I should have put this in, I should have put that in. There comes a point where you have to say, no, I am going to trust my judgment, because it's your work. Really doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. Take advice. I'm not saying be blasé and ignore what other people have to say. If you have fellow students that you trust, people who will be honest with you and fair, ask them, what do you think? Do you think this works? Do you think these go together? What do you think about that? How would you put this? And they will, you know what, if they're good, they will give you an honest opinion. It's even better when you've asked different people and they've said exactly the same thing. That's great. Ultimately, you have to learn to curate your own work. Gather the pieces together so your theme is right, the message you're trying to portray is correct, so that people understand where you're coming from. The other thing about that though is, it's a bit like writing a book. Doesn't matter what you put in a book, people will take from it what they want. When you put your artwork up, when you've put your work together, you've curated it, you've spent flipping hours, days, stressing about,
does this go together? I don't know if that goes together. Is this the right dimensions?
Even when you've done all that, people are still going to have their own message. You cannot control that, but you can control what you put together, what you curate. Know that you will always have doubts about what you've put up. So when I say, you know what, know your own mind, learn to stand on your own 2 feet and curate your work, I do mean that. But I also think it's important just to get the right opinions from the right people. You'll know what I mean. Sometimes you might be lucky and go, flipping love it. When I did mine, I just dug my heels in. I was like, this is it. And I just did it. I so wish I could show you, but I really can't. I actually did some templates. I wish I could have shown you that actually, but I've already pulled them apart. I did some templates, a bit like the photos and the drawings, and I went into my space and I put them up just as a guide. They weren't the exact photos, they weren't the thing themselves, but it gave me an idea about sizes. And I tell you what, the first time I did that, with the photos, they were way too big. They were so big, and I just took one look and thought, oh my God, I'm so glad I did the templates. Please do templates. They don't need to be the pictures themselves. If you want to do the pictures, print them off. Just, you know, I just have a thing about just printing things off and wasting the paper. Just do a rough template. Do I have one? I do have my rough template. I lied. I actually put this together. Now, do you know what? I look at this now and I think, why I thought this size was okay is beyond me. This thing is flipping huge. This is what I did. I got cardboard. This was supposed to represent the photo itself, and then this was going to be the frame. I measured it up. I put it together. Actually went into my space, put it up, and went back to the drawing board. Your artist project statement, make sure that you have that. Without it, people are not going to understand what your work is about. It's really important. Yes, they are going to make their own judgments about what the work is about, what it means to them. They're going to read it whatever way they want to read it, because we are all different. We have different viewpoints, different perceptions. But at least if you have your project statement up, people are going to have an idea where you're coming from and at least know the theme, the message that you're trying to portray. They may not always understand it because in truth, some of them it's like a whole nother language. But I do think it's a really important thing to have up with your work so that people know where you're coming from. Labels. Label your work. You will get an idea and a guide about size, etc. The other thing I think is important, actually, on another point, is make sure the font that you have for your labels and your statement is the same. Don't do something different. Oh my goodness. On that note, here's another one. Here we go. Don't go all fancy font. No Beyond Wonderland. No anything else that is illegible, and just no. Make sure people who are reading your work can read it. The whole point is you're not advertising the font, you're not promoting the font. The font isn't what's on show, it's your work. Stick to fonts that are like Times New Roman as an example. Make sure your fonts are readable. Don't get pretty and all fancy. That's not what's on show. So your labels, make sure it has the medium that you're using, your dimensions, the name of your work as well. So like here, I've got Connection, I've got my carbon pencil and charcoal for one of my drawings that I put up. It's on Arches 300 GSM watercolor fine art paper. And I've also got the sizes in centimeters. So make sure you put that up. And actually I got NFS on there because it was not for sale. You can sell your work if you choose, but if you're not selling it, it's really important that you put that on. Oh dear, business cards. Please do not go cheap with your business cards. Don't be tight, just please. The reason I say that is because if you've ever held a business card, you've taken a business card from somebody, subconsciously, you are giving them a message. When you take their card, there is a subliminal message that you are taking in by the way it feels, its texture, everything about it. Do not go for the cheapest business cards you can find, because that is just no. Don't make me say it again. You have put that effort into all that work and you really want to be able to promote yourself, show that you are a serious artist, whatever. And then you're going to give them something that feels like it's on printer paper. No, don't. I used Moo because the quality was amazing and they just always are. I did my QR code on the back, I put my name, I kept it as simple as possible, and I put an image of one of my work on the front. And did you notice I'm not showing you it too much because I don't think I'm allowed to show that either. Not really allowed to show. I keep creating work I can't show. What am I doing? Moo are brilliant. They have different, this isn't a sales promotion, by the way. No, I'm not being sponsored. I'm just giving you some good advice here. Please don't go cheap on your business cards. Don't do it. There is a lot of advice out there about what you can put on business cards. All you got to do is think, what is the message you're trying to pass on to people who hold your card when they get hold of that? Subconsciously, what do you want to tell them? Do you want them to think your work doesn't have value and you're just a cheapskate and that actually you don't really care about your work? Or do you want to say, I am serious about my work, I am an artist, take me seriously? Hanging your work, get good advice from your tutors, from whoever is there that will guide you about how to hang your work. If you've got a huge painting, you're definitely going to need to get some advice and help and support with that, because the last thing you want is that work to fall down. You come in on the day of the show and it's on the floor. That is, oh my God, you know what, that just actually doesn't bear thinking about. Not funny. When I hung my photographs, there was a lot of advice about how that would be done. I mounted the cards. Oh my God, that was a whole experience in itself. My fingers died. I hung my photos using mount card, and we did like the window, and then I put some nails in at the top, put the flap down, then I think it was double-sided stickies and they stayed up. It was just fine. I wanted to make sure those puppies were not dropping off that wall, because the last thing I wanted was for things to just go wrong. If the space where your work is being shown gets really hot, you need to make sure that your work is going to stay up and that whatever you use is durable. Because if you've used something sticky like, I don't know, double-sided tape, it may be okay in that moment, but for several, a few weeks, your work's going to be hanging there. You need to make sure that's going to stay up, and that if the room gets hot, that the tape isn't going to suddenly go gooey and the work ends up on the floor. So be mindful about what you're using. If you're not sure, do some research, get some advice, just do it properly. You should have advice as well about pricing your work. There would be a guide. We had a guide about what work would or kind of should cost what. So you kind of get this from between here and here. Whatever the work is, it's not necessarily based on size. Pricing artwork is, I was going to say complicated. It is and it isn't. I just wonder sometimes if the art world makes it difficult, makes it complicated, but you should get some advice on that. But it is scary putting your work out there and pricing it, but please don't undersell yourself. Just get some sound advice about how to price your work. If you have physical challenges, I don't know, you've broken an arm, you have back issues, you have some ailment that doesn't allow you the freedom of movement to hang your work, you should be able to get some help. Either your fellow students will help you, or whoever is overseeing the hanging of work and the setup of the studios, they should be there to help or get some help in. Because I am not kidding you. Maybe it was just me. The next day I felt like I died. Seriously, it was, I know it sounds like a drama. I'm probably making it sound really dramatic, but you wait until you have done this show. You are gonna know what I'm talking about. So get some help if you need it, if you have some reason that you can't hang your work yourself. Do you know what? Even if you don't have any ailments, get some help. Get someone to hold things for you, to help make sure things that you're putting up is straight. Just support each other, because it makes it more fun and enjoyable, and it certainly does help. But the next day, you are going to be so tired. Believe me. Meet your deadlines. There is no leeway. You cannot ask for an extension. You cannot say, well, I can get it in the following day. There is a deadline for getting that work hung up. People who are actually setting up the space and making sure it runs on time, they don't have time for work that comes in late, because there is so much to do. When you are in it, anyone who's already been there and done it knows what I'm talking about. Oh God, the amount of work. When people come in and see your work, when they come and see it, it's hung and they walk around the show, it's great. It is so much fun. But they don't see the amount of work that goes into it. It is a lot. So meet your deadlines. Do not think for a moment you can delay. Don't think, I'm gonna go out tonight, get plastered, and I'll make sure, I'll ask for a bit of an extension. Not gonna happen. The show will go on without you. You should get a sheet that tells you by what date things are to be done. You absolutely need to follow that sheet. Now, it is stressful. It's fun, but it is stressful. With everything that's going on, you are creating your artwork, you're curating it, you are doing your labels, your project statement, everything else. You will still be handing in assignments. You still have that art history to write out. If you're doing art history, you have my sincere. You will still be handing in assignments. You haven't got time to delay. You just don't. That work needs to be met. The deadline has to be met, not just for getting the work in for the show, but you will still have assignments to do. When I was preparing for my fine art degree, I had my art history assignment to do. That was, I think that was 3,000 in total. Do you know what? Let me just tell you the total word count that I did within, I think it was within those couple of weeks, it was something like 10,000 words or for these different assignments. And in there, I am creating my work, curating that work, doing the statements, just, it's a lot. Make sure you remember you are still doing assignments. You do not have time to waste. Get as much done as you can. Have a checklist of what you need to do for the show and the assignments you still need to hand in, because everybody's in the same boat. Nobody is really going to have time or space to help you if you don't help yourself, because everybody is busy. It's a crazy time. Your third year is mental, but it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but it is chaotic. It can be a lot of running around, but you do still have assignments to hand in. So don't forget that. You do not miss those deadlines. Now, I would say, some people might agree with this, some people might disagree. I would say start thinking about what you want to put in your show in your second year. You might think, come on, that's a little bit early. Oh no, that ain't early. That is absolutely not early. Start thinking about what you want to put up in your show, the kind of work you think you want to create, and here's why. First of all, your ideas are going to change. You will think, I'm going to put this up. I think this will be great and I really like it. And then something will happen. I don't know, you've seen a piece of artwork that's really inspired you. There's 1,000,001 things that can happen and you're going to go, actually, I'm going to change that. No, I don't like it. Or you've created something, you love it, you think it's fantastic, something goes completely Pete Tong and the paint is running off, or somebody is holding your prized sculpture and they've dropped it. Worse, you dropped it. You've hung your work for your show, everything is ready, you come in just to do your final checks and it's on the floor. Something somewhere has happened. Or someone has walked past it, touched it, scratched it, damaged it, and now you have no time to create something new. Have some backup work. I would definitely recommend having something that's your backup, just in case something goes wrong. I know it's a bit like, I haven't got time to create extra work. If you start thinking about this in your second year, you can create some backup work. You can have something that will bail you out if the worst comes to the worst, something happens. So definitely create something. Hopefully you won't need it, but you just might. So I would definitely recommend that. But do start thinking about this in your second year, because your ideas change, what you like change, the medium you want to use changes. Start thinking about it early. You might think, yeah, I've got another year to go. That year you think you've got is going to go by feel like 4 or 6 months. It whizzes by. Plan ahead, have backup. You will at some point need to put your work in a catalogue. You will be given some advice about the sizes, dimensions. Ours was 300 DPI JPEG. We had to make sure that was handed in by the deadline so that it could be put in the catalogue. Now, when you do that, make sure you follow the advice that your tutors give you to the letter, because there's only so much space they'll have in a catalogue. They need uniformity and they want to make sure that your work is shown in the best light. Also, when you choose your image, show something that you are proud of. Don't just throw any old image in there, because it's in the catalogue. From that moment till Kingdom Come, they can't get it out. That is going to be there. So make sure when you put the work in the catalogue that you want shown, that in 10, 20 years time, when you look back, you're going to say, yes, I still like that picture. I'm still pleased that that's the one I put in. And just run it by your tutors. They will more likely want to look at it so that they can review it. You may more than likely need to edit it. And then at some point it will go in and then it's there. So make sure you get that into the catalogue. Finally, you have prepped your work, you've prepped your space, you've hung it, and now it is the day for your degree show. People are coming in to see your work. It is so much fun. Honestly, it is fun. It really is. Everybody's on a high, everybody's enjoying themselves, it's busy. I would recommend conversing with people who interact with your work. Some people might do something that's very interactive where the people who come in to see it can engage with it. I don't know whether it's the way they view the work through a particular lens, whether it's something they can draw on the work. There's so many disciplines for being able to put into a fine art degree show. It isn't just hanging up paintings or photographs or drawings. There are things that people may be able to interact with. And if they do, speak to them. Somebody's looking at your work, be nearby, talk to them. The chances are you won't get to leave your space much anyway. I tried to leave my space. I think it took me nearly, about an hour and a half. I couldn't get out of my space. I was there and I could barely get away from it because people were talking to me. You're also talking, engaging with your fellow student whose space is nearby, who's near yours. It really is a lot of fun. Enjoy that day. Have fun, talk to people, and even go round and have a good look at other people's work. You're gonna love it. It's your day. This is your chance to shine. If you've prepared your work, if you've done everything you need to do, happy flipping days. Lap it up. This is your opportunity to have your work shown in a gallery setting. Not all artists get that opportunity. This is your one opportunity. Take it and enjoy it. Private viewing is over. Everybody's gone home. You finally go home. Your feet barely work because you've just killed them with some impossible shoes. You are going to sleep big time. Now is your time to catch up on the things that you needed to do, because there's still things that you will find need doing. I've only just collected my work, and actually the show was May. We are now in July. There is still lots of bits and pieces to do, and especially if you need to go home, you're not staying in the area where your university is, you're going to go home. That may be overseas, it may be local, doesn't matter. Make sure you eat properly, sleep, drink plenty of fluids. It's tiring, but it is a lot of fun. I really hope I've given you some food for thought. I've really tried to think of as many details as possible. Every university, like I said at the beginning, every university is different. They will have a different way of putting things together. They have their own routines. But overall, I would say, ultimately, it's about making sure you hang your work correctly, your space is clear, and it is presented in the best possible light, because that's what we all want. Trust your judgment. Don't feel that you are not capable. This is where you are learning to understand about curating, about your work process. You will still learn. There will still be things when you've finished. It's not all done and over with. Some of you don't want to be full-time artists anyway. Some of you perhaps want to go on and teach. You'll want to go and do something else. But learn to understand. Know that you will understand yourself a bit better, but there will still be other lessons that you will learn along the way. This is your time. The degree show, sharing your work, putting it on display is your opportunity. You may only ever do it once because you don't want to do it again, but this is your opportunity to show what you have done and put together, and know that you did it well. Do it for yourself. Do it because you want to. Don't just throw it together because you think, oh well, I didn't like my tutor, or I didn't like the people I was with, or nobody else cares, so why should I bother? You bother for you. That's what that's about. Ultimately, it's for you. It really doesn't matter, and I know I say this sometimes and it is hard, but it really doesn't matter ultimately what other people think. You really need to look at what you're doing and know you did your best. When you know you did your best, doesn't matter who's giving it that, when you know you did your best, when you know you put that work in, what other people have to say about it is irrelevant. Enjoy your show and actually just do it for you, and have a lot of fun doing it, because it is a flipping ball. I'm Denver Shai. If I've given you some food for thought and inspired you in any way and encouraged you, Do like, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.